The Chinese of New Mexico. New research is illuminating the cultural landscapes of New Mexico in the post-contact period. When you think of New Mexico after European contact, after the Spanish came, you don't often think of Chinese Americans and other Asians who joined the immigration to New Mexico. Like others, they came for opportunities in mining, agriculture, commerce, service, and other industries. Like others, some would stay for a while, and others will make New Mexico their home. Chinese people are known to have been in New Mexico for hundreds of years. Spanish colonial documents mention among a group's company in New Mexico a Chinese man, referred to by a Spanish name, serving as the group's tailor. A census of the Spanish colonial settlement of Santa Fe in 1750 specified that the wives of a number of families were Chinese women, again here listed with Spanish name. While Santa Fe remained remote from the development of the railroad, which is often associated with immigration of Chinese, photographs of Santa Fe from the 1880s showed that near the plaza of San Francisco Street was the Sankey Laundry, also a seller of Chinese and Japanese fancy goods. This Chinese business was next to the offices of two Santa Fe newspapers. There was a wide diversity of experience of Chinese people in New Mexico. Shown here is a 1913 photo from the Silver City Museum that labels as a ranch house with the proverbial Chinese cook. As in California and many other places throughout the U.S., Chinese men were frequently referred as cooks, and as indicated by this want ad from the El Paso Herald in 1917, Chinese and Japanese skill in agriculture was also known in New Mexico. In the railroad boom town of Las Vegas, New Mexico, in court proceedings that followed a robbery and murder, New Mexico became the place where a territorial Supreme Court decision established the right of a person to testify regardless of their religion. The 1884 case Territorial of New Mexico versus Yishang removed the requirement that a person had to prove that they were Christian before they could give testimony. Despite legal rights, Chinese New Mexicans were another ethnic group subjected to frequent violence. One example where the perpetrators were brought to trial comes from Clayton, New Mexico, in Colfax County. This 1897 murder was known at the time as perhaps the most brutal and revolting murder ever committed. Clayton News reporter relate that the judge, finding that the jury reported it could not reach a decision, recalled the jury, gave them a reprimand, and discharged them, saying, "Never as long as I hold court in this district will I allow one of you to sit in a case being tried before me." The judge then sentenced the accused to life in prison in Santa Fe. The jury's action had rendered the sentence of death by hanging impossible. The reporter followed up with a lead member of the jury who was a prominent local citizen of great influence. The man reportedly said, "Yes, the three men on trial may have had something to do with the murders, but was it fair to hang three Mexicans for two Chinamen?" Mexicans was then the term used for people of Spanish descent born in New Mexico, which according to the article described all the accused as well as the jury. The ethnicities of the reporter and the judge were not mentioned. The idea that it was okay to target people of Chinese descent for violence or ridicule also persisted later in New Mexico. This 1914 newspaper item from Clovis, New Mexico, relates that the author holds as the latest idea in church fundraisers a Chinese tea party where guests are invited to eat rice and rats. The proponent, a woman, presumably Anglo, goes on to explain how the decorations should be made to evoke the countries in which your church does missionary work, and that the church woman should dress in Chinese attire and serve guests bowls of rice garnished with an edible fake red. Upon such festivities, we will close the curtain. At the same time, Asian Americans in New Mexico were valued members of many communities. Sam Ho Key, born in Albuquerque in 1882, graduated at age 16 as valedictorian of his class at Albuquerque High School. Educated in during his early years in China, he is shown here with his father, Sam Key, in one of the identity documents required of people of Chinese descent, even if native-born U.S. citizens, due to the 1882 discriminatory legislation that lasted into the 1960s. Sam Key ran a successful Albuquerque store and financially supported many community causes such as the state fair. His son participated in school activities including as assistant editor of the school paper, The Occident, before in 1906 graduating early as valedictorian. The fact that he was accepted for admission at the University of Michigan for the fall without having to take additional qualifying exams was held up by the local newspapers as evidence of the progression of education in Albuquerque. Another family then famous in the community was the Liu family of Deming, New Mexico. The Liu family ran the agricultural operation known as the Deming Chinese Gardens. The Liu family's farm of 37 acres was held up by newspapers as far north as Albuquerque as an example of the productive potentials of New Mexico's land. Like many farmers, Mr. Liu Si and his wife Wang Shi had a large family, 9 boys and 1 girl, all except one born in Deming, New Mexico. The children carried birth certificates issued by the state of New Mexico to show this, and their mom was herself a native-born citizen born in San Francisco, California. The Liu family followed the custom of providing education in China when possible. Documents that son Liu Tiking submitted on return show not only him with his school class in China, but a Chinese language genealogy document showing his relations to all his cousins and other generations of Liu. A 1929 front-page feature in the Deming Headlight talks about the agricultural achievements of son Liu Tifang, who had then just graduated from Deming High School. In making their home and work in Deming, the Lius joined a number of other Chinese who ran businesses that included restaurants and laundries. A map made by National Fire Insurance Company, the Sanborn Company, in Deming, as elsewhere, followed the practice of noting which buildings were occupied by Chinese businesses or residents. You can see this section of Deming on Silver Avenue near Railroad from one page of the map marked with CHI apostrophe E, laundry, or D for dwelling. On their property, the Lius developed a structure that is perhaps uniquely New Mexican architectural form. This building, made of adobe, served as a watchtower against theft of the garden's goods. While a design transformed in New Mexico, the watchtower is still reminiscent of those used in southern China. The Chinese example here is from the family home of Gary Wu, the Californian abstract expressionist painter. In China, the watchtower that still survived in southern China had recently been named a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Like many who were born in and grew up in New Mexico, the descendants of the Lius, of Sam Ho Key, and many others moved to other parts of the state or of the country. However, their economic impact, their families, and their shaping contributions to their communities were felt and were remembered. Even now, in Deming, the Liu family's adobe watchtower still stands today, giving a reminder of the past and New Mexico's history of which they were part and the endurance of that heritage today.